Okay, guys. Looks like we're on. We're ready. Let's finish it for real this time. Last time I tried to, but I just got hung up on one particular argument, and eventually I just said hell with it. But let's let me see. All right. Let's start it for real this time, though. Now then, before we proceed any further, I'm going to announce the results of the tests we performed earlier. Tests? Yes, tests. On the bloody dagger that was found stuck in the pine tree. Oh yeah, that. I totally forgot about it. That's the weapon that Maya Fey used when she fought with the victim. So, what are the results? Was it the victim's blood, or... Due to time constraints, a full test wasn't possible. However, there's one thing we can say with certainty. The blood that was on this dagger was not the victim's blood. Oh. Interesting. So whose was it then? That is all. Now then, let's restart this trial. So it wasn't Misty's blood on the dagger. Then whose was it? Yes, and after everything that happened with... Dahlia, it seemed like she was the one behind all of this, but it's sounding like even she was a pawn. And wasn't even the one who actually killed her. It sounds like Misty. Was Misty the one channeling her? That's what it's almost sounding like. Found stuck in a pine tree in the inner temple garden. The blood does not match the victim's. I'm sure both the defense and the prosecution know this, but this trial is rapidly coming to a close. Both sides will need to show some firm evidence with their claims. I understand, Your Honor. From what I've heard, the witness is dangerously weak, physically speaking, so let's finish this quickly. Agreed. Very well, please bring in the last witness. Hey Maya, how you doing? Witness, please tell us your name and profession. Maya Fey. My profession is, I'm the assistant manager at Wright & Company Law Offices. Maya. According to the magazine I have here, you're a spirit medium of the crane channeling technique. I'm frightened. The Fey clan. I don't want any more to do with it. Oh, poor thing. Maya, the pain the Fey bloodline causes must be unbearable. Very well. Now then, Miss Fey. When the event occurred, you were in the garden of the Inner Temple. And you witnessed the moment of Miss Elise Dunium's murder. Is this correct? Maya, I didn't see it. Straighten up this instant, young lady. Huh? Pick your head up and speak clearly. There's always time for crying later. But Your mother was killed right in front of your eyes. There's nothing you can do to change that fact. But there's something you can do. You can finish this. You've been watching the whole time. You've been watching the whole thing, right? You've seen the witness come out, and you've seen us squeeze the truth out of him. Now it's your turn. Let's hear your testimony. On the night of the crime, what exactly did you see happen? Witness, if you please. Yes, Your Honor. Alright, here we go. I was passing through the garden on the way to a spare prep room when it happened. Suddenly, someone struck me over the head. I stumbled and ended up against the stone lantern. I think I screamed, "Help me!" Then something warm splashed over me. That's when I lost consciousness. So you were struck on the head. I suppose it must have been the staff. Maya, the person who hit you. It was Dahlia Hawthorne, wasn't it? I'm sorry, Nick. No worries, Coolio. Thanks for still, listening anyways. I just couldn't see. I don't know who it was. Maya, think hard. Sorry, Nick, but I really couldn't. Can't say it was an especially good night for young ladies to be walking around alone. It seems it will be hard to determine the criminal through testimony alone. Very well then, Mr. Wright. Please begin your cross-examination. Maya, hang in there. She doesn't look well at all. I was passing through the garden on the way to a spare prep room when it happened. Suddenly, someone struck me over the head. Who did it? Who hit you? I didn't see who it was. I was hit from behind. You didn't see the person? But after that, your attacker was in front of you. How could you not see who it was? Oh, let me think for a sec. I'm sorry, I just can't remember. Maya's really having a hard time. What should I do? Considering the conditions at the crime scene, it's not surprising she didn't see her attacker. So it looks like even you've got some compassion. Judging by the testimony thus far, the identity of the attacker was most likely the spirit that was channeled by Elise Dunium, Dahlia Hawthorne. Very well. Please continue with your testimony. What happened after you were struck on the head? I stumbled and ended up against the stone lantern. What happened afterwards? My attacker was in front of me, blocking off my escape, I think. You think? After getting hit like that, I was in a state of panic. There were only two things rolling around in my mind at the time. Well now, this is beginning to get interesting. So, what were the two things rolling around in your mind? My name is Maya Fey. 1 + 1 = 2. Huh? See, for some crazy reason, I was afraid I was gonna lose my memory. I know it's odd considering my life was in danger, but that's how it was. That's not odd at all. Your actions are understandable, given the circumstances. So, what did you do then? I think I screamed. Then something warm splashed over me. You don't mean, was it... I don't know at the time, but... I think it was probably blood. Is she saying that's when Miss Dunium, who was channeling Dahlia, was stabbed in the back by the killer? At that moment, I was paralyzed with fear. I was just sitting there in the snow. I'm sure blood got on everything around me. That's when I lost consciousness. So what happened next? I don't remember. How were you saved? You don't even remember that? No. I haven't got any idea. I really don't know what happened at all. That's too bad. I've worked side by side with Maya for 2 years now. I can tell when she's trying to hide something by how she acts. And right now, I'm absolutely certain she's hiding something. You think you screamed, but you're not sure? Listen, I was a complete wreck. It was dark and I couldn't see my attacker. Was it a man, a woman, an adult, child? I had no idea. I was scared out of my wits. Believe me, my dear, I'm certain I would have soiled my robes. Really? I thought this person might attack me, so I... Anyway, I'm pretty sure I screamed. I thought it was my last hope. Wow, it sounds like poor little Maya really was out of her mind. But I wonder what she meant by last hope. What do I do? Do I press her for more details? Wait a minute, Maya. What's this my last hope stuff? What? What do you mean by... What do you mean by your last hope? No. That's what you said. You said my last hope. What? I said what? Look, you were facing an attacker that you couldn't see and you screamed, right? You screamed, "Help me." Yeah. But you testified that you screamed that because you thought it was your last hope. Oh, well, you know, that's like, what do you call it when that happens? Maya's not doing so well up there. Oh, yeah, oh, that's right. I remember now. I was facing my attacker, but that's not who I was screaming at. Huh? What did you just say? Yeah, that's right. It was the person behind my attacker I was yelling at. Person behind them? That's who I was screaming to for help. Ah! What is it now? I messed up. I didn't mean to let that slip out. Huh? Witness, are you absolutely sure of what you're saying? Behind the attacker, there was another person? I meant to keep that part a secret. What have I done? It takes a ton of pressure to make a diamond. That's what I always say. A ton of pressure. You're in a court of law here. You can't make things up or try to hide things in this chamber. Witness, the information you just presented is vital to the case. I want you to add to your testimony. I could see a man behind my attacker by the light of the stone lantern. A man? Who was this man? Well, you see, I couldn't see. You couldn't see? She's used this excuse twice now. Well, you know, lantern light isn't very bright. Lantern light, did you say? There's a great big stone lantern in the garden. Mm-hmm. They always light it when an acolyte is there for training. But was it... Hey, you know what they say, under the lantern, darkness reigns. So I could see the person that was further away, but not my attacker who was closer. Plus, there weren't any other light sources in the garden at the time. But it was not lit at the time of the crime. That's right. So, there was a man standing behind your attacker? Yeah. That man. He's the killer. He stabbed her from behind. He's the one who killed Elise Dunium. Otherwise known as Misty Faye, your mother. The killer... Maya. You know who killed your mother, don't you? What's the meaning of this, Mr. Wright? To be frank, Your Honor, I think she's in shock and quite confused. That's why she hasn't noticed the huge problem with her testimony. Huh? What do you mean? What problem? Maya, on the night of the crime, the stone lantern was out of commission. Huh? What? It's true. There was no light anywhere in the garden that night. No! Order! Order in the court! Mr. Goda, explain this! Add the pureness of milk to the perfect, clear darkness of coffee. Stir. That's the state of the witness's mind right now. A cup of café au latte. Café au lait? Is that even legal? Mr. Trite's words are the milk and you're the spoon, Your Honor. I'm a spoon? I'm no Spoony Bart, I'll have you know. Oh dear. You must have noticed it too, Trite. This witness's mental state is highly unstable right now. It's not hard to understand why she'd make a little mistake like that. Sorry, but that's not gonna cut it. What'd you say? If there truly was no light in the garden, then there's a fatal contradiction in the witness's last bit of testimony. Nick? May I? Recall the witness's statement about her attacker. She said she didn't know if it was a man or a woman, an adult or a child. And yet, the witness could describe a person that was standing behind her attacker, and she quite clearly described him as a man. In other words, that would have to mean that Maya actually saw our mystery person. Despite it being so dark, she couldn't see the face of her own attacker. Oh. Order! Order! What in the world does all this mean, Mr. Wright? Are you saying Miss Faye saw the real killer under pitch-black conditions?
Objection!
Trite, do you have any idea what you're proposing? How could she have seen in the dark? There was no other light source at the scene.
Objection!
There are some things that you can only see in the dark, Mr. Godet. Maya, you did see who the killer was in the dark. And now, you're trying to cover for him. Cover? For the man that killed her mother? There's only one conclusion I can draw from this. You know who this man is. Please, Nick. I don't know anything. Please, I'm begging you. Huh. You talk a good game, Trite, but let's see if you can walk the walk. It was pitch black, so what could the witness see? I'm calling your bluff. No, Nick, don't. Please, stop! Maya's dead set on protecting this guy. The man who murdered Maya's long-lost mother. But I can't let him get away with it. I'm a lawyer, an officer of the court. I'm here to find the truth. Alright, Mr. Wright, time to show us what you've got. Who was this person that you say Ms. Faye saw in the darkness? Okay. Who could she have seen in almost complete darkness? There's only one person. There's only one person that we've seen able to do something like that, and that's goated. Because it was pitch black, Miss Faye was able to recognize the killer easily. I'm sure the court would like to see for itself how this is possible, yes? What? But how do you propose to show us something like that? It's easy. We just need to recreate the conditions of that night. Conditions? Your Honor, the defense officially requests that all the lights in the courtroom be turned off. This is... But it can't be. Huh. Mm-hmm. That was a nice bit of deduction, Trite. Well, everyone, this is the man Maya saw on the night of the murder. Order! 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 Prosecutor Goda, what's the meaning of this? Surely you must be shocked to hear yourself accused of such a thing. Why aren't you denying it? Your Honor, you're asking the wrong person. What do you mean by that? If you've got a question, ask the witness. That's one of my rules. Well, Maya, how about it? What you saw that night, was it 3 glowing red lights? Well, witness, answer the question. You're wrong. I never saw that. Maya. I thought the person that stabbed my mother was a man for a totally different reason. What? Witness, Mr. Stop your chattering, Your Honor. Chattering? If it's worth asking, ask the witness. That's one of my rules. All right. Well then, let's continue with the testimony. Please tell us how you knew the killer was a man. Yes, Your Honor. I didn't realize it until after I woke up, but... When I came to, I was just lying there on the training hall floor. By the time I got back to the garden, the place had totally changed. The torches were lit, and the body was gone. And all the snow around the stone lantern had been carefully cleaned up, too. Since the person did all that work alone, I just assumed it was a man. So it was after the crime took place that the witness came to think the killer was a man. Yes, that's right. I'm sorry, Your Honor. No need to apologize. It's as Mr. Godot said, you're utterly exhausted. It's only natural that you'd be a little confused. Also, if you consider the situation you described, it doesn't seem too much of a stretch to assume the culprit was a man. Really? Mr. Wright, proceed with your cross-examination. The place had totally changed. Naturally, the killer must have done it, right? Yes, I think so. But why would the killer tamper with the crime scene like that? There must have been something that the killer desperately wanted to hide. I don't know. Looks like she doesn't have enough confidence. I think I need to gather some more information before I ask her again. Torches were lit and the body was gone. The torches were lit? Yes, that's how he noticed the whole scene had changed. I'm gonna say it was the killer who lit the torches. I mean, who else could it be? The killer probably lit them since it was impossible to do any cover-up work in the dark. However, if that's true, there's one thing that still bothers me. Why did the killer go through the effort of moving the body? That's true. It's hard to see how that would be of any advantage to the killer. The only one who would gain anything from that would be the only person that was at the inner temple, Maya. Very well, let me hear some more about the condition of the crime scene. All the snow around the lantern had been carefully cleaned up too. So you're saying the killer cleaned up the snow? It did look really odd. The snow was removed in an unnatural-looking rectangular shape around the lantern. There were a lot of shovels around the inner temple. But they're all really heavy. Way too heavy for me to use. An odd fellow indeed, the killer. Why on earth would anyone want to take snow away? Well, there's one thing I can think of. Didn't you say a lot of the victim's blood sprayed onto the snow? Yeah. The area I collapsed in ended up being splattered. Indeed. Hi, Jason. In other words, the killer's purpose was to hide the bloody snow. I think that's the most reasonable explanation. Perhaps. However, there's something that's bothering me. If the killer just wanted to hide the snow with blood on it, there was no need to remove that amount. That's true. He could have scooped up just the snow that was stained with blood. But I think this'll help explain them. Since the person did all that work alone, I just assumed it was a man. Now, I think we... Naturally, the killer must have done it, right? Yes, I think so. Why would the killer tamper with the crime scene like that? There must have been something the killer desperately wanted to hide. The truth is, when I saw the crime scene, I felt something. You did? Yes. I felt like the killer was hiding the evidence for me. For my sake. What? Hiding it for you? Everyone knew I was the only one at the inner temple that night. If Sister Bikini had come back and looked at the garden, she may have thought that you had done it. No, she definitely would have thought so. And you're saying that's why the killer cleaned up the... Yes, I'm sure of it. Well, that's certainly an important piece of information. I want you to add that to your testimony. Yes, Your Honor. It was for my sake the killer cleaned up the evidence of what happened. But then, if that's true, there's one very important thing they forgot to clean off. The body of Elise Dunium was carried all the way to Hazakura Temple's courtyard. Then, at the garden, the real scene of the crime, the snow that we suspect was covered in blood, was scooped up and removed. It's reasonable to believe all this was done in an attempt to hide the true crime scene. However, there's still one matter that seems somewhat odd. Oh, and what would that be? You must have figured it out by now, Mr. Godet. It's the message written in blood on the lantern. It was written very clearly on the white stone lantern. Maya. Ah. If the killer was so motivated to protect Maya from suspicion, then why didn't they wipe the writing off the lantern? Oh, you're right. But we've established something previously. Godet can't see the color red. Order, order, order! But, Mr. Wright, isn't it a fact that the killer was trying to cover up the crime scene? Indeed, but what doesn't make sense... But it doesn't make much sense to move the body in the bloody snow and then not wipe off the most incriminating thing of all, the bloody writing. But if that's the case, do you have an explanation for the killer's mysterious behavior? Why would this killer move the body and remove all that snow, but then leave the bloody writing on the lantern? I don't know what the killer's plan was, but it's a fact the killer left the writing on the lantern. There must be a reason for it. Well then, Mr. Wright, let's hear your opinion. Why did the killer leave the message written in blood on the lantern? He couldn't see it. Prosecutor Godet, earlier in this trial, you gave me some good advice. Once you eliminate the impossible, whatever remains must be the truth. Maybe you're not as dumb as I thought. The real killer wanted to disguise the fact a crime had occurred there. If that's the case, they wouldn't have left the bloody writing on the stone lantern on purpose. Therefore, it must mean they didn't notice it. But that doesn't make any sense. Torches were all lit and everything. There's no way any normal person would miss something as glaring as that. Any normal person, yes. You're right. There's no way any normal person would. What are you trying to say, Mr. Wright? There's only one person involved in this incident who could have missed seeing the bloody writing altogether. And who would that be? Who is this person who could have failed to notice the bloody writing? Yep. Mr. Godot, this is what you said yesterday. My eyesight's pretty messed up. Even with these huge goggles on my head, I still can't see everything. You can't see everything? Is that correct, Mr. Godot? This lantern was submitted as evidence today. I would like the court to think back to the moment it was first presented. This lantern! There's something written on it. Why, it's written in blood. Nonsense. This lantern, it's as clean as a whistle. Yep, again, he can't see the color red. Mr. Godot, just admit it. There are certain colors you can't see, correct? And we saw this back in chapter 3 with the blood, or not the actually the ketchup stain on the apron that he failed to notice. You can't see red on a white background, can you? That's right. We went through this once before. During the poisoning case at Très Bien, yep. This is the apron the delightful Miss Bird was wearing at the time. And somehow spilled coffee on. There's something still bothering me, Mr. Godot. Why have you not explained the bloodstain to the court? Bloodstain? What bloodstain would that be? Don't play games, prosecutor. The blood-colored stain is smeared all over the apron. That's ridiculous. No one told me anything about a blood stain. You know, come to think of it, how effective is a prosecutor that can't see blood? You could see the coffee on the white apron, but you couldn't see the ketchup because it was red. It's strange. In a black and white photo, those letters would have appeared black to me. I wonder, why am I the only one who can't see them? So then, Mr. Godot, are you admitting it? Are you admitting you couldn't see the red writing on the lantern? This looks pretty nonchalant. Hey, Gramps, didn't you know? That's the reason why I don't drink red tea. I wasn't sure about it till now, but I just can't believe it. Prosecutor Godot is the murderer? But there's no going back now. I finally figured out the truth. Mr. Godot, the defense at this time formally accuses you. You're the murderer of Miss Elise Dunium, also known as Miss Misty Fey. It's hard to believe this may be true, however, once again Mr. Wright has brought up a disquieting fact about you. Huh. Just make sure you don't fill out the indictment in red ink, Gramps. Come on. How does a little graffiti make me into the killer? Besides, it's not like it's my name that's written there. I'm certain the killer wasn't able to see the color red. This is rich. Do go on, trite. The answer's right there at the crime scene. In the snow. The snow? How so? Well, for example, why did the killer move all that snow? Your Honor, you said it yourself. If he wanted to hide the bloody snow, why not just take out just that area? Right, but he couldn't see it. Yes, why didn't he just take just that area? Oh, could it be... Yes, the killer couldn't see the red blood that had seeped into the snow. And so he had to remove all the snow. He couldn't be sure of where the blood landed, so he removed the whole area. Isn't it more likely the killer couldn't see the blood because it was dark? Not a chance. The torches were all lit. He would have been able to see just fine. It seems that once again this trial's taken an unexpected turn, to say the least. Can you explain this, Mr. Godet? Maya? Wait just a minute! Maya? What is it, witness? Mr. Godet isn't the killer. After all, he didn't even come to the Inner Temple until 2 days after the murder took place. He didn't show up until after the old bridge got fixed up. Objection! Maya. You can't testify to something like that. Why? What do you mean? I may not look it, but after the murder happened, you didn't even exist. She didn't... I'm afraid I don't follow. Are you senile, old man? We established this just a little while ago. After the murder, this witness was unconscious for a long time. Right, she was the one channeling Dahlia. Because she was channeling Dahlia Hawthorne. Oh, that's right. Please, Your Honor, let me add to my testimony. Nick, please, listen to me. Maya. Do you plan to cover for Godet no matter the cost? Your Honor, let's hear her testimony. If it means we're going to hear the whole truth, I say we shouldn't silence her. Nicely done, Trite. Very well, let's hear the witness's testimony. Please tell us what happened at the Inner Temple after the murder. Yes, sir. After I woke up, I began channeling, and my spirit left me, as it were. But little Pearlie was there at the Inner Temple, too. That's true. Pearlie was also stuck at the Inner Temple that night. The next morning, she looked around but couldn't find anyone. The next day, when the bridge was finally fixed, she was in the spare prep room. That's when Mr. Godet arrived at the Inner Temple for the first time. He found Pearlie first and cheered her right up. Who is this Pearlie? That's my little cousin, Pearl Fay. Yeah, you've seen her before. So when did you hear about this? Oh, just a while ago when I was in the medical office. I'm terribly sorry. But what you heard from someone else is simply not admissible as testimony. He's not wrong there. What? Come on! Pearlie would never tell a lie. She's a way more honest person than I'll ever be. Real smart, Maya. You always know the best things to say when you're under oath. The prosecution has no objection. We believe the witness. Mr. Godet! Let's just move to the cross-examination, if the defense has no objections. This is highly unusual, but... Well, Mr. Wright? Let's get this cross-examination started. Inside your temple. She looked around but couldn't find anyone. The next day when the bridge was fixed, she was in the spare prep room. That's when Mr. Goda arrived at the inner temple for the first time. So it was your first time on the inner temple side, Mr. Goda? That's funny. Am I imagining things, or did the defense ask me a question? Mr. Wright, please save your questions for the witness. What you heard from someone else is simply not admissible testimony. Those are your words, Your Honor. Touché, Mr. Wright. Oh well. What do you have to say, Mr. Godet? Hot nights and even hotter coffee. That's what I always say. If it hadn't been for this case, I never would have visited there. Freezing cold temple in the mountains? I think I'll pass. So he had never visited Hazakura Temple, or the Inner Temple, huh? You want to say something, Trite? In any case, I have to find a crack in Godet's armor. While I cross-examine Maya, that is. Very well, please go on with your testimony. After fixing the bridge, the policeman came over to the Inner Temple side, right? Yes, then Mr. Godet... He found Pearly first and cheered her right up. He cheered her up? That's what Pearly said. She said he was a very nice older gentleman. Thank you for looking after my cousin, Mr. Godet. And here I was thinking you were nothing more than a coffee addict. Godet, friend to all children. Cut it out, you're making me blush. This guy's really beginning to get on my nerves, in more ways than one. The truth is, there aren't that many places to look on the Inner Temple side. The policemen were all busy going over the garden with fine-tooth combs. So I decided to carry on an investigation in my own way, Godet style. I'm the same way. I like to hand down verdicts in my own way, judge style. What style is that? Maybe I should ask some questions, Phoenix style. So, you cheered Pearls up? When I found that little girl, the first thing she asked about was her cousin, Maya Fey. Really? The bridge had burned down and she was huddled up in that tiny shack with no heat. Even though she must have had a truly terrifying night out there. She asked about you before she said a thing about herself. Pearly. Aw. I noticed you weren't anywhere on the Inner Temple side, but I couldn't find it in me to tell her that. So I gave her my last cup. With milk and sugar to hide the bitterness of the harsh truth. What a sweet story. Yeah, a thermos of coffee? Why doesn't that surprise me? There's only one thing of any importance here. Where was Godet when the murder was taking place? He must have already been at the Inner Temple when it happened. Otherwise, he couldn't have killed Elise Dunium. Let me, let's press on the other issue. You said you conducted an investigation of your own. Did you find anything? Looks like my investigation went about as well as yours, Trite. After all, I did miss the bloody writing on the lantern. Well, I didn't miss it, so speak to yourself, Goggles. The only odd thing I discovered was the beauty in the training hall. Beauty? Misty Fey, naturally. Clad in her stunning Japanese garb, surrounded by the hue and aroma of Western tastes. Western tastes? Could he find a stranger way to describe gravy? Wait. So from there you headed for the prep room? Wait a sec, what did Goated say now? I think I just found his proverbial weak spot. There's only one thing of any importance here. Okay, wait a sec. Wait. He said he had never been in the Inner Temple before he arrived just then, but at that time, Pearl should already have covered that scroll in gravy. Mr. Godet, the first time you crossed Dusky Bridge and went to the Inner Temple was long before the murder took place. Why do you say that? Because he just made one fatal slip-up. The hanging scroll in the training hall. Hanging scroll? But... Mr. Godet's right. That scroll shows a picture of my mother. Maya, I know you know who it is, but there's something you didn't know. By the time the bridge had been repaired, 2 days after the murder, the hanging scroll in the training hall looked like this. What's that wonderfully delicious smell? The morning after the crime, someone covered it with gravy. Gravy? But why gravy, Nick? It's a long story. Because gravy was much more than a condiment to the culprit. Well, Mr. Godet, if you really hadn't seen the hanging scroll until after the murder, you wouldn't have had any way of knowing that it was Misty Fey. Wait a minute, Nick! Yes? Take another look at the hanging scroll. Look, at the top. There's a crest there. Oh, it's the mark of the master, correct? Exactly. So, if you know the meaning of that mark, then you could guess there was a picture of Misty Fey on there. True, but Mr. Godet described what was underneath like this. Clad in her stunning Japanese garb, surrounded by the hue and aroma of Western taste. Yes, it's possible that he knew what the crest meant. However, he couldn't have known that she was wearing Japanese clothing. Mr. Godet, on the day of the murder, you were hiding at the Inner Temple long before the crime took place. Oh. Can I ask you just one little thing, Trite? What is it? This whole theory of yours, it all rests on a certain assumption. That I knew beforehand that a crime was going to be committed. Ah, yes. That's right. Otherwise, there's no reason for him to sneak into the crime scene. Of course Mr. Godet knew about the plan. Huh? What did you say? Is it really possible that another person knew of the plan? Yes, because remember what Pearl said before. The seal on the envelope was broken, which means somebody had opened it before she did. This crime was actually planned over a year ago. Morgan Fey authored the plan for her daughter's future, and these instructions were hidden somewhere in Fey Manor for a year. However, by the time little Pearls found these instructions, they had already been unsealed. Unsealed? Yes, the killer had read these instructions long before Pearls ever found them. That's how he knew the crime was going to take place at the Inner Temple. And you still insist this crafty killer is me. You bet I do. But you just said that the instructions were hidden. That's right! Mr. Godet couldn't have known where the instructions were hidden. If he really wanted to know, he had one chance to find out. Yes, and when was that? During a visit. A visit? Morgan Fay told her daughter Pearl about where the instructions were hidden. During one of her visits to the detention center. That would be the only time for someone to have learned where they were hidden. Eavesdropping on a visit at the detention center? Yes, it could be arranged if you were someone with easy access in and out of there. Like, for example, a prosecutor, such as Mr. Godet. Order! Order! Mr. Godet, you're under fire again! This murder could not have been carried out without prior knowledge. And you're the only one who could have acquired this information before the murder. Humans are afraid of the dark. And yet, at the same time, we're fascinated and bewitched by it. Maybe that's why humans drink the darkness that is coffee. Sorry for always asking, but what does that mean? It means there's a reason for everything. According to your theory, the killer in this case eavesdropped on a conversation during a jail visit where he learned of a hidden plan for a crime. After discovering the plans, he hid in the Inner Temple and waited for the crime to occur. Then, he ultimately took a person's life. And he did all of that just to protect this witness? That's right. If you're accusing me of this crime, I have to ask you, why would I do this? This girl is nothing but a stranger to me. I've got no reason to go through that kind of trouble to protect her. Here we go. Here we go. Now we're gonna get into it. I'm what you see. I'm certainly not the type to rescue the damsel in distress. Oh, I think you are, based on some things you told me. But there's one other major thing that you can kind of have inferred about him from previous chapters. The killer's behavior is certainly extreme, for lack of a better word. Even considering the killer wanted to protect this witness's life, his behavior is still a little too unnatural. However, you had a good reason, didn't you, Mr. Godet? An unshakable reason that forced you to protect this witness at all cost. I knew it. You figured it out, haven't you, Nick? Maya. I guess you were doing your best to cover for Godet. For the same reason, huh? Okay, Trite, I'm all ears. Let's hear it. It's very simple. Maya Fey is a lot more than just a stranger to you. What's this? There's one person who lies at the very center of this whole story. One person that ties you and Maya Fey together inextricably. Yep. Dahlia. Sorry, but at this point in my life, I'm a lone wolf. I've got no connection to that person whatsoever. Yes, and by the way, I don't have any connection with him either, Mr. Wright. What? Wait, what? What am I doing? Wait. Wait, no, okay. There's somebody else. Thank you, Noble. There is... It's Mia. There's a very good reason why Maya Fey's life is so precious to you. After all, she's Mia Fey's only sister. Mia Fey? You once worked alongside her. That was when you were a defense attorney. Wait a second here. Mr. Godit is a defense attorney? With your honors-piercing intellect, you must have figured it out by now. The real name of this man who calls himself Godit. His real name is Diego Armando. Isn't that right? The last time someone called me by that name was over 6 years ago. Diego Armando. That name rings a bell. It should, Your Honor. All this is related to a single case. Yup. A case in which a convict named Terry Fowles killed himself. Mia Fey's first time in court. The tragic outcome left a deep wound in her heart. She knew that behind it all was a heartless, scheming demoness in disguise. But in the end, Mia couldn't tear off that disguise. However, there was one man who reached out to help her. Diego Armando, a senior defense attorney at the office where Mia worked. It's my fault. It's all my fault that Mr. Fowles killed himself. Mia, you can't cry yet. The only time a lawyer can cry is when it's all over. I was moved by her. The way she put all her faith in her clients. That pure, sweet heart of hers. That's why I could never forgive Dahlia Hawthorne. Mia and I thoroughly investigated that fake kidnapping incident. Then one fateful day, Dahlia wanted to meet with me. It had been 6 months since the trial. We met in the courthouse cafeteria. Oh, I just remembered. 6 years ago, right here in this courthouse, you were poisoned. Yes. Yup. Even I didn't see it coming. Dahlia Hawthorne slipped some poison into my coffee. Some newspapers at the time called it a murder. But very little information about the case was released to the press. But you weren't dead at all. No official reports ever actually called it a murder. I was just in a deep, deep coma. I see. My body shut down and my life became nothing but a long, deep sleep. That woman's poison did a real number on my central nervous system. I lost my sight, and all my hair turned white due to the damage it caused. That's terrible. Yeah, as he pointed out before, the goggles and the white hair aren't a fashion statement. Apparently, it was a miracle that I ever regained consciousness. 5 years had passed since I drank that poison brew. Then one morning, my eyes flew open from the smell of the doctor's cup of coffee. Of course! What else would it be? 5 years? You were asleep for 5 years? And the worst possible news was waiting for me. Yeah. Mia Fey was dead. From the very moment I opened my eyes, I'd already lost everything I thought I had. The woman I loved had been murdered. And the woman I loathed had been sentenced to death. The woman you loathed? The woman who spiked my scalding hot coffee, Dahlia Hawthorne. I see. Good old Mia. She didn't let me down. She got her revenge before she checked out. In the end, there wasn't anyone waiting for me when I woke up. That's so sad. It is. For someone like me, for someone who slept away their best days, there were only 2 reasons left to live. And it was for those 2 reasons I decided to become a prosecutor. If I may ask, what were your 2 reasons to live? The first was you, trite. Huh? Me? Why does he still keep... If I hadn't drank that stupid poison, Mia Fey never would have died, much less the way she did. You were the only one who was there to protect her. But you let her die. It was all your fault. Oh, man. It wasn't like that. I wanted to see for myself what kind of a man you really were. So that's why you became a prosecutor. My other reason for living? She goes by the name of Mia Fey. Oh. You mean me? You were the only way I could make up for the sin of not saving Mia. 1 year ago, when the Crane Village incident was resolved, it was obvious that Morgan Fey was planning something. Whatever her evil plan was, I was determined to stop it. My role as a prosecutor put me in the perfect position to do something about her. That's how you overheard Pearl's visit with Morgan at the detention center. I knew the time was drawing near. Since I knew the plan, I thought I could foil it. My goal was to outwit the plan. I thought if I could do that, I could keep that girl from being caught up in it. I see. That makes sense. If Pearls had known the actual purpose of the plan was to kill Maya, she never would have helped out. Finally, the day of the plan was drawing near. I contacted both of my accomplices. Accomplices? Iris of Hazakura Temple and Misty Faye. Oh. I especially needed the help of Iris. She was to take the fall in my backup plan in case we couldn't control Pearl Faye. But how do you contact my mother? She'd been missing for almost 20 years. Officially, yes. What? What do you mean, officially? You've heard about it, haven't you? About the strong ties between the main family and the government? Now that you mention it, Bikini did say something to that effect. She said the Master of Crane had great authority. Even without her official position, Misty Faye still wielded great influence. The police have been keeping an eye on her movements all this time. That's how I was able to contact her. Again, because of my position as a prosecutor. So my mother was cooperating with you? Don't ever forget. Oh, damn it, why do I... Okay, I keep bumping the right mouse button, and that's what keeps moving it skipping it ahead. She was always... That's why I knew she'd do anything to protect you. If you want to know how strong her resolve to protect you was, look at her staff. Her staff? The one with the sword in it? The day the plan was to be carried out arrived soon enough. We met for the first time at Hazakura Temple. That's when your mother showed me her special staff. I realized it then, just how far she was willing to go. She was ready to use that sword to protect you from Morgan Fay if necessary. Yes, even if it meant paying the ultimate price. Mother. That night, the night of the crime, there was just one way to stop Morgan's evil plan. You mean Pearl's, don't you? We had to make sure she didn't channel Dahlia Hawthorne. Which is why Misty did it instead. Well, Pearl, what are you going to do tonight? Well, if you'd like, you can come to my room. Perhaps we can read some books together. We thought we could prevent her from playing her part in Morgan's plan, but she never showed up. She was worried and followed me to the inner temple. That was the thing we were most afraid of. And that's why Misty Fay had to do the channeling herself. She channeled Dahlia Hawthorne to her own body. What? What do you mean? If she channeled the spirit first, then Pearls wouldn't be able to do it herself. As Master of Karain, Misty Fay's power was supreme. So that's how it went down. She channeled Dahlia Hawthorne so that Pearl Fay wouldn't be able to. Oh! What? Is this true? My role in the plan was to make sure no one was going to hurt Maya Fay. That's why I hid myself in the inner temple. Just in case you needed to be saved from Dahlia Hawthorne. Goated. Anyway, That's all I'm going to admit to, Trite. Huh? There's no doubt about it. You're a great defense attorney. But you're going to have to do the rest yourself. The background leading up to this incident's been laid bare. There's just one question remaining, Mr. Wright. Who killed the victim? There are only two possible suspects right now. Maya Fey, and I'm sad to say, you, Mr. Goated. Well, Trite, if you're the real deal, then finish this thing once and for all. Show us beyond a shadow of a doubt you can finish this on your own. No, Nick, please don't! Maya... I heard the whole thing from my sister in the medical office. That's why I have to protect Mr. Goated. Oh man, this does suck. This does really suck. If Goated was just... He was just looking out for Maya, wasn't he? I mean, if he didn't do anything, Maya probably would have died. This sucks. This sucks. I can't do it. I can't testify against him. After all, he's the man who put his life on the line to protect Mia. And me too. Right, I know. That's... God damn it. Maya, I know that. Nick. Objection, it was actually gremlins. There we go. Thanks, Coolio. But even so, it doesn't absolve him of his crime. Phoenix! Please, Maya, testify. Miss Fey, your testimony, please. This is the final testimony. Don't bother trying to hide anything, because I'll know. I want to hear the truth from your own lips. I understand. Damn it. I'm sure you're right. I'm ready now, Nick. Alright, young lady. Tell us about the moments before you lost consciousness. What exactly happened at the time of the murder? Just before it happened, I think I saw some red lights. 3 of them. I thought I asked for help, but just then I was splattered with blood. She wasn't dead, though, and she struck back at the enemy behind her. Suddenly, the red lights went out, and the whole area was dark. Just at that moment, there was a horrible scream. Right after that, Dahlia collapsed, and I lost consciousness. Those red lights. I thought you said you don't remember seeing them. I'm sorry. I thought I saw them, but then they disappeared all of a sudden. Things break, Trey. Even the best of theories. Who was it that stabbed Missy Fey? Looks like you still can't prove it. Maya's telling the truth this time. I know it. The rest is up to me. Well then, Mr. Wright, proceed with your final cross-examination of the witness. Alright, here we go. I'd ask for help, but then I was splattered with blood. That blood, was it Dahlia Hawthorne's blood? I think so, probably. Just at that moment, I heard a soft scream that seemed to be close by. It was a woman's voice. So that was when the killer stabbed the victim from behind with a murder weapon. Is that right? Without a doubt, Maya was in the middle of a really dangerous situation. Anyway, the victim was stabbed by the murder weapon. What happened after that? She wasn't dead, though, and she struck back at the enemy behind her. Struck back? How do you know that? Well, you're right. I didn't see it exactly, but I could tell by the sounds of their breathing and movement. And also, the smell of blood. You've witnessed more horror than any young lady should ever have to in one life. Right? So then, what did you do at that point? I couldn't move. I could just barely make out their shadows moving in the dark, but I had no idea what to do. Could you still see the red lights you mentioned earlier? Yes, I think so. But suddenly the red lights went out and the whole area was dark. They went out? Yeah, suddenly I couldn't see him at all. What could it mean? If the red lights were coming from Goated's mask, and they went out right in the middle of a fight, maybe the mask was damaged. Or maybe it was knocked off. Or maybe the batteries ran out, right? Or maybe those little red pinhead-looking lights just stopped working. What could have really happened then? Just at that moment, there was a horrible scream. What do you mean by just at that moment? Do you mean the moment the red lights went out? Yes, that's right. The scream you heard then, was it Dahlia Hawthorne? I don't think so. I'm pretty sure it was a man's voice. What? What? So that scream came from the killer? It's gotta be it. I think Dahlia Hawthorne must have taken the blade and attacked the killer with it. Not that blade, though. I think I know. I think I know what blade it was. The dagger that was found at the scene, it didn't have the victim's blood on it. It had somebody else's, but we don't know whose. And then the killer let out a scream of pain, huh? After that, the killer stole the blade back and delivered the final blow, I guess. Well, Mr. Wright? Seems to make sense to me. Sounds like a reasonable deduction, but I still kind of wonder. Sorry to say this, but that interpretation would create an enormous contradiction. That makes sense. After all, my deductions are almost certainly never correct. Way to admit that to everybody, Judge. Remember the testimony she just gave before the killer let out the scream. Maya said she'd already been splattered by the victim's blood. In other words, the blade and the staff had already been plunged into the victim. Oh, is that right? She couldn't have struck back with a sword that was already stuck in her body. The weapon that caused the killer to let out a scream. Must have been something other than the staff. If you're so sure about that, then don't keep us waiting any longer, Trite. There's only one thing I can think of that could have been used as the weapon here. If Dahlia Hawthorne had already been stabbed in the back by the staff, what could she have used to strike back at the killer? This. Naturally, the dagger the killer brought to the scene of the crime. Oh, that's right! I forgot about that! This dagger was found at the crime scene, stuck in a pine tree. Yes, the detective found that this morning and brought it to me. Dahlia Hawthorne struck back at the killer with this. And she managed to wound him as well. Just because he let out a scream doesn't mean he was wounded. For all we know, the blood on the dagger could have been from the victim. Have you forgotten the blood has already been tested? Since we learned it wasn't the victim's blood, it must be the killer's blood. The killer must have a wound somewhere on his body. So you're saying the blood on this dagger belongs to the killer? Exactly. A DNA analysis of the blood would prove it beyond a shadow of a doubt. And yes, Mr. Goda, it would prove that it's your blood. Nice theory, Trite. Order! Order in the court! Is this the end? Have I done it? Even he won't be able to change the results of a scientific test. Yet he still looks unfazed. Huh. Let me ask you something, Trite. Let's just say it turned out that I was the killer. Do you really think I'd be stupid enough to leave evidence like that? What? Just think for a second. This dagger was found this morning by a detective and brought to me. There was already blood on it, correct? But even so, I was the one who brought this dagger to the courtroom. Yes, what does that prove? Well, if I really were the killer, I could have washed the blade off and planted another person's blood on it. Okay, he's not wrong there. It can't be. In any case, there's one thing I can guarantee, Trite. That blood, it doesn't belong to me. Not a chance. What? Oh, damn. In any event, it seems to be established that the killer was wounded. Alright then, witness. Continue. Wait a minute. What's the problem? I know I probably shouldn't say this, but there's a big contradiction in Nick's explanation. Maya! This dagger. You said it wounded the killer. That's right. But if Mr. Goda had really been cut with the dagger, his clothes should be bloody or have a rip in them, right? That's a good point. Does he have a wound? Can we have him show us? Maybe he just changed his clothes. That'd solve the contradiction pretty easily. What are you talking about? It's not that simple at all. Remember back to the day of the murder. Everyone that was on the inner temple side got trapped there. Oh, that's right. And once the bridge was fixed and the police headed for the inner temple, Mr. Goda was already there waiting for them. Yeah, Mr. Goda was already there waiting for them. He never had a chance to change his clothes. Order! Order in the court! With the witness... Well, maybe he brought a change of clothes with him. But no one could have predicted the lightning strike that shut down the bridge. Why would anyone have brought a change of clothes? Did the judge take smart pills during the last recess? Well then, maybe the killer took off his clothes before he committed the murder. Really? Is that where we're going with this? That way he wouldn't get any blood on them. That's impossible, Trite. I mean, I'm sure the goated fangirls would appreciate the image of that, but you know how cold it gets up there late at night. After a few minutes with no clothes on, you'd be frozen solid. So that's all you got. I knew you weren't tough enough to finish this. Right now, if Mia Fey were here... If Mia Fey were here, she would have closed the book on this case already. If Mia Fey were here. So come on, Trite. Can you do it or not? How about it, Mr. Wright? You've accused Mr. Goda of being the killer, but can you prove it? Have you got even one piece of evidence? Do we? The question isn't whether I can prove it or not. The fact is, I have to prove it. That's the only choice I have. I was taught that it's one of the rules of being a lawyer. I can prove it. Okay, I think we're about to... I'm gonna bring your magnificent vengeance to fruition, just as you want it. Huh. That's good. A fighter till the bitter end, Trite. Since there's just one piece of evidence that can prove your point, why don't we go for the unlimited penalty? Oh, jeez. Look at that. Are you trying to pressure me, Mr. Godet? Because it doesn't matter to me. I've got the one piece of evidence I need. Give me a break. You got nothing, Trite. What do I do at a time like this? It's simple. I gotta think outside the box and approach from a different angle. Alright then. Mr. Wright, let's hear what you got. There's one thing I've demonstrated in the previous cross-examination. The killer was wounded. That was proven by the blood on the dagger. But we decided it was impossible for him to have hidden such a wound. If he had been cut by a dagger, there should have been a bloodstain on his clothing. Not necessarily. There's one place the killer could have hidden his wound. Maya said the light in his goggles went out at that same time. That's where he was slashed. What'd you say? Hidden? In the yarn barn. Ah, yes. Coming back to, oh, Coolio's, Kirby's Epic Yarn stream that we're just coming off from. This is it, my last stand. I need to think about this from a different angle. I don't need to think about why there were no bloodstains on his clothing. I need to show how he hid the wound. It's the end of the line. The final stop, Trite. Let's hear what you got. Where's this location where you say the killer hid his wound? I don't know what you're talking about, and frankly, I don't need to know. What I do know is that you'll never be half the lawyer she was. Isn't that right, Trite? Oh. I saw... What was that just now? Mia. It can't be. You're living on. Through him. Even as we speak, you're still hiding the wound. It's beneath your mask. During the fight, the red lights given off by the killer suddenly disappeared. Seconds later, the killer let out a scream. That's right, your mask went flying off your face. Mr. Goated, would you mind removing your mask? If you have a dagger wound under there somewhere, then I'd say this whole case is solved. Oh. Huh? Just now, I saw her spirit in you. I never liked you. 6 years ago, you helped the woman who put me to sleep by hiding her bottle of poison. Well, not, unwittingly. And then, while I was sleeping, you let Mia die. But you didn't care. You just kept living your pathetic, happy-go-lucky life. You even had the nerve to follow in her footsteps as a lawyer. I could never forgive you. That's what I thought. Mr. Goated? But I was wrong about you. I knew it from the very beginning. The truth is, the only person I could never find it in my heart to forgive was me. You? Yourself? I was the one who failed to protect Mia. Me, and no one else. I tried to avert my eyes from the truth, to escape from the harshness of reality. I just couldn't face Mia's death head-on, so I ran. I hid behind a mask. I threw away my true name. I couldn't even deal with being a defense attorney anymore, so I quit. But you saved Maya. Yeah, that was my plan. Up until just now, anyway. What do you mean? Are you listening, Maya? If I had really wanted to save you, then there's one person I should have gone and talked to right away. Who would that be? Are you talking about Nick? But I didn't do it. I tried to get the help of Iris and your mother, but I closed my eyes to the most important man involved. Do you know why? The real reason. No, why? I suppose I wasn't really interested in saving you at all. Are you serious? Huh? I think I was just trying to salvage what's left of my own broken soul. I was trying to make up for the fact that I couldn't save Mia. Nothing more. That's why I let you walk right into a situation that I knew was dangerous. Forgive me. You're wrong. You put your life on the line to save Maya. Was it really for Maya's sake? Even I'm not really sure. What do you mean by that? That night, in the darkness of the garden, when I saw her silhouette. A part of me must have known the truth. The truth that it wasn't really Dahlia Hawthorne standing in front of me. It could have been Misty Faye, or even that little girl. But I still picked up the blade. It was like I was dreaming. I see. You mean just vengeance on Dahlia. I'm not sure exactly what was going on in my mind at that point. Was I really motivated by a pure desire to protect Maya Faye? Or was it something else? Was it my hatred for a woman who'd stolen everything from me 6 years earlier? Could it have been simply a desire for revenge? And now, I don't know anything anymore. I did learn something today, however. I finally realized that I was the arrogant one. I was just chasing an illusion, a fantasy. You were the one who made me realize my folly. You never ran away from Mia's death. Instead, you picked up where she left off, as a true defender of the people. In that one moment, I understood everything. Mr. Goaded. I think you already know this, but if you don't, my name is Diego Armando. Mr. Armando? I believe in you. I know you were trying to save me. Oh. Huh. Thanks. Your wound. It's bleeding. Did you forget already? In my world, the color red doesn't exist. These must be my tears. Tears? Ever since I woke up from my coma, I think I've been waiting for this very moment. Mr. Armando? You do well to remember this, Maya. The only time a lawyer can cry is when it's all over. This time it really is all over, isn't it? Defendant? Yes, Your Honor. Although you weren't directly involved in the murder, tampering with the body and the crime scene is a serious offense in itself. I understand, Your Honor. Mr. Armando explained that to me very carefully. I knew the risk, and I willingly cooperated anyway. Very well. Before I hand down my verdict, is there anything else you'd like to say? Well, there is one thing. I'd like to say something to Mr. Wright. I want to apologize to you. Oh, by the way, Sim Guy, welcome to the stream. Thanks for coming. Apologize to me? For what? For the case 5 years ago, of course. Oh, that. I just remembered. Weren't you poisoned by your own lover? Not exactly, but yeah, something like that. Even now, 5 years later, I can hardly believe it. She was gonna do it. She was planning to kill me. It's not all that surprising. The two of you, you hardly knew each other. Huh? What do you mean? You and my sister? You only met twice. Huh? Huh? We only met twice? The first time you met was on that fateful day. The day she poisoned Mr. Armando in the cafeteria of this very courthouse. The next time you met her was 8 months later. You met her again on the day she stole your cold medicine. Oh, then. You mean... what? And Doug Swallow was killed. No way. It can't be true. I mean, during our whole relationship, we were... It was her that was seeing him. For those 8 months, the woman that you thought was Dahlia Hawthorne wasn't actually my sister, it was her. It wasn't Dahlia? I hope one day you can forgive me. Feeny. You mean... That's right. I lied to you for 8 months. Oh, damn. But why? Why would you do such a thing? Ever since she gave you the bottle that day, my sister was trying to get it back as soon as she possibly could. Because of the police investigation and their surveillance. She couldn't move about freely. So that's why you... My sister... From the beginning, she was prepared for the worst. Prepared for the worst? She thought that you might somehow discover the truth. That's why she was always ready to deal with you at a moment's notice. You mean she was ready to kill me, don't you? She already had so much to answer for. I didn't want any more sins on her soul. I begged her not to do it, and she agreed to give me a chance. And that's why you came to me. You came to get the bottle pendant back for me in her place. But I couldn't get you to give it back. I failed at something even as simple as that. 8 months passed, and I still couldn't get it back from you. Finally, my sister couldn't wait any longer. And that was That's when this happened. She didn't consult me about her plans for you that day. It was the first time that had ever happened. That was a bit strange, wasn't it? Up until that day, you two were partners in crime and she would confer with you. I think she must have noticed. Noticed what? My feelings for you. If I had found she was planning to kill you, I would have done whatever was necessary to stop her. Aww, so she really did develop feelings for Phoenix. Even if it meant her life or mine. Wow. Aw, Iris. Iris. After spending those 8 months by your side, my feelings toward you, they changed. I have something to say to you, too. Yes? You really are the person I always thought you were. Even after Dahlia Hawthorne was found guilty, I still believed in you. Thank you. Oh my god. Diego? How many cups of darkness have I drank over the years? Even I don't know. I'll tell you though. Right now, this one here is the greatest cup I think I've ever had. Don't you think so, Phoenix Wright? He's calling us by our name, rather than trite. Oh, sorry. Sorry about that. I think the mood was getting to me for a minute. Oh, oh, they're sharing a cup together. Nice. Yeah, I think you're right. The purpose of this trial was to rule on the murder of the victim, Elise Dunium. At some point, I expect you'll be tried for your role as an accomplice for this case. I understand, Your Honor. Very well. On the charge of murder, I hereby find the defendant... Court is now adjourned. Alright, now what? So I guess it's all over. The way everything ended. Was justice really served? The man who risked his life to save Maya is being sent to prison by my own hand. Of course justice was served. Oh. Oh, Pearl is... She's channeling Maya now. Or Mia, rather. Mia! I'm proud of you, Phoenix. Your defense was truly brilliant. But I couldn't save Mr. Armando. The man who cared so deeply about you. You're wrong, Phoenix. You did save Diego. You saved him in the only way possible. You mean, with that verdict? I think one day you'll understand too. Phoenix, I want you to remember one thing. You were as good out there today as any defense attorney could ever hope to be. There's nothing more you can learn from me. Mia! You've accomplished something I wasn't able to. I owe you a great deal. Thank you. Mia. I'm sure we'll meet again. Someday, Phoenix. I've handled lots of cases and seen a lot of things. And along this journey, I found myself asking just one question. What does it really mean to defend someone? I suppose today's case produced one possible answer. Nick. Hey, Maya. I guess it's just like my sis said. Mia, what did she say? That night when I channeled Mia to get her advice on what to do. This is what she wrote back in my notebook. Don't worry, Phoenix will save everyone in the end. But, come on, cut it out with that gloomy face. Can't you see? Me, Sis, and I'm sure Iris too. We owe you for everything you've done for us, Nick. Maya. How? How can you be so bright and chipper after all that's happened? You were brutally attacked? You even saw your own mother murdered. Yeah, oh. Francie. Oh, God. Francisca. Still as softy as always, Phoenix, right? Edgy. Excellent work, right? Mr. Edgeworth, when did you get back? Oh, that's right. I guess no one filled her in on that. Edgeworth and Francisca have actually been helping me. Helping you? If these two hadn't been here on the first day of the trial... the defense wouldn't have gotten anywhere. Wow, but where were you, Nick? I heard he fell into a river and caught a nasty cold, which forced him to sleep all day. Yes, he laid in bed, shivering from his fever, with Iris's hood pulled over his head. Oh, ouch! Talk about embarrassing, Nick. You definitely need more training. Anyway, thank you, Mr. Edgeworth. And you too, Francisca? I don't suppose... Huh? Oh. It's the butts. There's room for me in this group hug, is there? Oh, Larry! Why, what's with the, longer than usual face? I realized something when I was reborn. I realized that Larry was never of any use to anyone, not even once. That's not true, right, Nick? What? You're asking me? Well, Nick, is it true? I got a place in this world, right? Huh? Oh, yeah, of course. I knew it. Everyone would be better off if I was gone for good. No. Oh yeah, those portraits you painted, they were really good. I mean, one of them did, that one portrait did prove crucial to the case. Isn't that right, Edgeworth? What? Me? Why are you making that face, huh, Edgy? Oh, well, yes, indeed. I certainly can't say that they lack resemblance. You really mean it? What about you, Francie? Did I draw you well, too? My beauty cannot possibly be captured by a mere crayon. Nevertheless, I recognize the effort you put into it, and that's worth something. So then you'll do it, like you promised? Oh, do what, I wonder? You're gonna model for my next picture book. Francie's Whippity Trip. Oh my goodness. I might like to read that. Wink, wink. Don't get carried away. Well, how about that? I guess painting portraits is the only thing I'm good at. The painting of Pearl is pretty darn good too, if you ask me. Huh? Now that you mention it, I haven't seen her around. Yeah, where is Pearly? Pearls? Where could she have gone? Normally, she would have made a beeline for Maya. Oh, I'll go look for her. I'll be right back. Hey, Pearly? Right. You seem to be uncharacteristically puzzled. I suspect you're wondering how Maya can be so cheerful despite all that's happened. Yeah. To be honest, I can't understand it either. Francisca. That's right. She lost her father fairly recently as well. I think I understand how she feels. Maya is a much wiser person than she appears, and I think she realizes something. Now is exactly the time when she needs to be as strong as she can. What do you mean by now is exactly the time? Maya wasn't the only one that was badly wounded by this incident. In fact, there was someone that was hurt far more deeply than she. I believe it's for that person that Maya's trying her best not to cry. Someone who is hurt more deeply than Maya. Edgeworth? I think I'm starting to understand too. Ow! Then tell me, Phoenix Wright, who is Maya Fey being strong for? I'm not sure, actually. I'm thinking it's one of either Pearl or Goaded. Maybe Pearl? Let's see.
Take that!
Pearl Fey. And the poor kid. After all, the reason she worked so hard to follow the instructions, right, was because she loved and believed in her mother. It's for the good of the Fey clan. I'm sure she believed in every last word. Oh, I wasn't vocally, just in my head. I hope you guys can still hear me, though. She thought she was doing it for Maya. That's why she was so happy. It shows how truly devoted she is to Maya. But it's a cruel irony that it was her exuberance that led to this tragedy. Maya Fey's mother was killed, and Maya herself was put into the deepest peril imaginable. And that's exactly why Maya's putting on a brave face. She's doing it for Pearl's sake. Until she can see her smile again. Oh, hey, Dick. Oh, hey, so this is where y'all were. Wow, looks like we got quite the bunch here, Dad. Oh. And he immediately gets whipped. What was that for, sir? Sorry about that, Scruffy. My whip just seems to have a mind of its own. Oh, hey, so does mine. Want to see? Wait, what? What's up, Detective Gumshoe? Oh, you know, this and that. Anyway, congrats on your win. Let's go out tonight, pal. Dinner's on me. My salary's just sort of kinda gone down by a teeny-weeny bit, but it's alright. I made reservations at a first-class French restaurant tonight. Oh, don't tell us. Tell us it's not Très Bien. Ah! Pretty good work, Scruffy. That whip is your award. Detective Gumshoe? You said a first-class French restaurant. You don't mean... Très bien. Where else? Oh, I think my mic... Somehow my mic volume did go down. Were you guys... Is that what you guys were commenting on before? Somehow it got dropped. I don't know how. I'm sorry. Okay, you guys can hear me okay now? For some reason I looked and saw it was down, so yeah. Damn it. I don't know how long it was like that. I'm sorry. I knew it. We're doomed. Come on, let's go, everyone. Can't keep Maggie waiting, pal. Oh no, I'm sorry, God. It was out for that. My mic was out for that long. Damn it, I'm sorry. Damn it. Hey, you crybaby, you're invited too. Oh, forget about me. Pearl and I'll be at the loser's shack eating potatoes. Oh, come on, Larry. You know, Maya's taking an awfully long time to get back. She's still out looking for pearls. Maya? What's wrong? Nick, what do I do? Pearly, I can't find her anywhere. Huh? I thought so too, so I called the village. Little too high? Okay, how's that? But no one's heard from her. This has never happened before. As I figured, she's been badly hurt by this incident. She feels responsible for the tragedy that's befallen you, Maya. But none of this was her fault. What should I do? Detective Gumshoe? Yeah, what is it, pal? Could you guys go on ahead? But what about you? Maya and we'll join you guys once we find pearls. Nick. Don't worry about us, Detective Gumshoe. We may be a little late, but we'll definitely be there. We have a lot of celebrating to do tonight, and I won't miss it for the world. Yeah, but you're the... Ah! Very well, Phoenix Wright. We'll go on ahead. Don't keep us waiting, right? We won't. But where should we look? Where could Pearly have gone? Let's go, Maya. There's only one place I can think of that pearls might have gone to. The Sakura Temple. For pearls, I'll bet this is a very important place. After all, this is where the whole incident started. What's this? You're all back again so soon? Sister Bikini. I thought we'd be eating mashed potatoes alone tonight. So she's here. Pearly's here? She's in the train hall. Why don't you hurry along and go see her? Okay. Pearly's not here. Oh, Maya, the hanging scroll. Oh yeah, it's cleaned up. Someone cleaned it off. It's gotta be Pearls. Oh! Mystic Maya! Pearly! Why'd you just leave like that? Mystic Maya? Mystic Maya! Aww. I swore I would never trouble the two of you ever again. Because it's all my fault that Mystic Maya's mother... That's why you came here. It's the least I could do, to pray for your happiness. You don't have to do that, Pearly. It wasn't your fault. You didn't do anything wrong. Of course, I'm sad that my mother's gone. But how do I say this? I'm still happy. You don't have to lie just to make me feel better. No, really. It's true. The only reason I'm still here is all thanks to everyone who was here for me. My sis, my mother, Mr. Armando, Nick, and you. Even if one of you weren't there, I'm sure I wouldn't still be alive right now. That's why I have to be strong. For all the people that were there for me when I needed them. That's all I can really do. Mystic Maya. I'm impressed. You truly are the daughter of Mystic Misty. Sister Bikini. Your mother, Mystic Misty, was a strong woman indeed. I want to tell you what she said to me that night. After dishonoring the good name of Karain, I don't have the right to face my daughter. But still, Maya's always in my thoughts. It's true. She'll always be with me until the day I die. Your spirit was with her. Even at the end, I'm sure she had no regrets. She'll always be with me until the day I die, huh? There's a rule or something all masters are to follow, isn't there? To never take the charm off until the day you die. That's the master's talisman. The thing that Misty kept by her heart and would never take off. It wasn't the container that was important, rather it was the contents. That's... a photo? Oh. Mother. What is it? It's only natural for living creatures to fight to protect their own lives. But what makes us human is that we fight for others. But who do you fight for? How hard must you fight? That's the true measure of what human life is worth. We defense attorneys are warriors who are constantly challenged by that question. Aww. Even when the battle is over and the bonds that connect us are severed. Is that Mia? Is that Mia and Maya? We always return, time and time again. Mia, Maya, Pearls, Mr. Armando, and Maya's mother too. Yeah, I know, that face has been through so much. I learned that from all of them. Well, shall we get going? Everyone's waiting. Oh! This is a day to remember. A day when a lot of things were finally put to rest. I think we should celebrate what we've overcome today. But I still can't. Oh, go on, sweetie. You can come back for training anytime. Okay. Alright, I'm going to make a brand new start too. Sister Bikini, I'll be back for more training, I promise. I know, and I won't go easy on you just because you're the future master. I'll make sure to prepare reservations for 3 when you come back. Alright, we're gonna have a great feast today, Pearly. You know why? Because training's a battle of endurance. Okay, Mystic Maya, I'll eat lots and lots of food tonight. You know, there's one thing I don't get, and probably don't want to, but... What is it, Nick? Reservations for train is final, but why for 3? Come on, what do you think? You're one of us, Nick. Next time you can train right alongside of us. Huh? I'll be waiting for you. Sister Bikini will take special care of you. Huh? Huh? It'll be great, Nick. We're gonna do the special course, naturally. Oh dear. Huh? That's a great idea. After all, Mr. Nick, you'd do anything for Mystic Maya, wouldn't you? Even walk on hot coals, right? Oh dear. We'll have a nice big meal before we come next time, right, Nick? Oh dear. You know, I was wondering if I can say just one little thing. Sure, of course you can. Oh, I love this part. I can't wait to hear it. I'm getting goosebumps too. Well then, here goes nothing. I'll really have to work extra hard now. Master of Crane and the office manager of Wright & Company Law Offices. I have to be a good big sister of Pearly. As long as I'm not locked up or captured or something like that. Okay, guys. That was it. That was... This has been the end of the, Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney trilogy. Again, at least the first 3 games are down. Yeah, I know, Noble. This has been a long one, but I've had a lot of fun with this series though. It's been really great. I do love this series. And this I appreciate the compilation on Steam so that I can play this for you guys without necessarily having to I guess go through all the rigmarole with a DS emulator and everything. Oh, hey Samus. Oh, she taught me how to use a whip, and I must show you what I've learned. Oh my, I like where this is going. Anyways, so yeah, this, again, great series. I look forward to doing more on this. I hope there is a second compilation of these games eventually, so I can do more of this, starting with the 4th game, Apollo Justice, the 5th game, Dual Destinies, Spirit of Justice, and then the two Ace Attorney investigations, the Miles Edgeworth spin-offs. Only one of which came out here. The other one only came out in Japan. I hope that one does get an official release eventually. Oh, there's Tomato Nose. I'm just on the way. Wrinkly grump. At least that's what I thought. My grandkids had a birthday party for me the other day. Talk about embarrassing. 69 years old and I cried like a baby with a dirty diaper. He probably did have a dirty diaper. Oh yeah, the Professor Layton crossover too. Oh, there's Miss Scouter Lady. I don't know who that guy is. Yeah, you know, truth be told, I haven't even completed the, Oh, yeah, it reads the same, front ways as backwards, doesn't it? Is that the gag? You've turned into such a respectable man, Feeny. It was so sweet of you and everyone else to come. I was happy that you constantly had your eye on me, but felt kind of bad when the little one slapped you so hard you got a nosebleed. What? Get to see that sexy hair flip one more time.
Objection!
Yeah, go check out the on the subject of that, go check out the anime adaptation of this. It's really good too. What's this? I'm back from vacation. I guess while I was gone, my little whippersnapper buddy quit. Now I got no one. What kind of lowly, crazy security room is this supposed to be anyway? The flashing lights and switches. I feel like some sort of space alien. What am I supposed to do with all these macadamia nuts I brought back for everyone? If I bring them over to Edgy, I can't give 70s, I'm afraid. And now she's just talking like, oh my god. Fans got divided after the third game. I don't know. I didn't really follow the fan base of the series much, I guess. But from last time I did this, it sounded like, yeah, fans were pretty divided after the third game, that they kind of didn't want to... They kind of regard the rest, everything after the third game as non-canon. Yeah. Well, heck, I know people were like that after the with the Mega Man series, that regarding everything after Mega Man 3 is non-canon. Alright. But that was it, though. Well, that's good. Hopefully it is a minority. Because, yeah, I thought the games after 3 were still excellent. but looks like we're at the end of this, guys. We have finished. Ace Attorney Trilogy is officially over. Kind of sad to be done with it, but at the same time, kind of glad that we're it's another we managed to finish it off tonight. Yeah, I could probably do a little bit of, yeah, post-series depression. Noble is calling for some more Mega Maker. Anyone else? I can do a little bit of it. After this, if you want to just give me a few minutes. All right, then I will see you guys in just a few.